Okay, time to do surface area. I have attached this sheet in your post. If you can print it out or you can recreate one on your own. It has all the formulas. Please look at it. It has what the formulas are, and then it goes through each one. Some of them actually have things labeled so you can see what they are, but you can see what numbers go with what letters. And then there's the cone. So today we're going to do the prisms. So there's prisms, and they say what they are, and the cylinder. So we're going to do only 3 of them today. Again, you can print it off and write what I write, or you can just copy the examples on a piece of paper if that's helpful to you. All right, so I've got a rectangular prism, and we're supposed to cover this thing for surface area, so it would be like wrapping it. So you have to look at how many sides you have. There are 6 sides, and what do we know about this? The top and the bottom are the same, that front and the back are the same, and these 2 are the same. So it's really only 3 different dimensions you have to worry about, or 3 sides, because then they're doubled. So that's where we come up with this formula right here. And I think if you label these, it's a lot easier to put the numbers where they need to be instead of trying to remember them. I always label a length, a width, and a height, because then when you're going over here and saying 2 lengths times widths with 2 length times height and 2 width times height, you're hitting all 3 of them, and you won't accidentally overuse one, right? Because we know that the front and the back, right here's the front, we know the front and the back are the same, so you have to get your length and your height there. That's this one here. We know that this bottom one, if you look at the bottom one, is the width and the length, and the top and bottom are the same, so there's the width and the length. And then we know we have the one on the side here. This whole side right here would get my width and my height, and the front and the back are the same, so there's my 2 widths and heights. So that's where those are coming from. This one here is a little trickier. It's a pretty long formula because it's telling you that you have to get the bottom, the left, and the right rectangle. So, right, there's one on the bottom down here. There's the bottom rectangle. Highlight that for you. Do you see the bottom rectangle on there? There's the bottom rectangle. And then there's one in the back here. Can you see the one in the back there? Let me highlight that one a little bit so you can see there's the one in the back. And then there's this one, I don't know if you'd call it the right side maybe. I'll outline that one. So that one's sitting there. So there are 3 rectangles, right? If you have a triangular prism, 1, 2, 3. They may or may not be the same. And then you have the 2 bases. Those 2 bases are the same. So this is all kind of mixed up here, all of this. So I'm going to try and write it as 1. So to find the surface area, we first have the 2 triangles, and we know the 2 triangles are the same. So there are 2 of them. It's a base and a height of that triangle divided by 2. Now when you go to actually type it in the calculator, these would cancel out, and so that's less stuff you would have to type, right? The 2's would cancel out, and you could just do that times that. Then I'm going to say the length and width of the bottom, whatever rectangle's on the bottom. If it's standing upward like this, you might call B the back, and then you still have a left and a right. Then you also have to add the length and the width of the right rectangle, whichever way it's standing. If it's standing like this, then you got a right on this side, you got a left on this side, and a back. If it's laying down, you got a right, left, and a bottom. Okay? And then the last one is the length and width of the left side. So this would be the formula I would use. That's also on the formula sheet for you, but make sure you use those formulas. You're not having to memorize them, but you have to be able to plug numbers into them. Okay, last I have the cylinder, and the cylinder, here's my formula. And so I kind of want to tell you how you get that formula, so it makes sense why you have 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. And when you open up a cylinder, it actually is a rectangle and 2 same size circles, right? So you would have to use the radius right there. And to get the circled areas, you'd have pi r squared, and here you'd have pi r squared. So do you see this 2 pi r squareds? It's the 2 circles. Now this rectangle is normally a base times height to find the area of it, but if it's going around, how do we do a base and a height? Well, the height's easy. They'll still give you a height. But what about this part right here for the base? The base, if this part here actually would wrap around there, that's the circumference. The circumference is the same as the base. Okay, well, what is a circumference? It's pi times diameter. So I could plug pi times diameter in there, but they don't use that. Why? Because then I'd have a d and an r in my formula. How confusing would that be? So the other way to do the circumference would be 2, remember that one? 2 pi r, because 2 radius is the same as a diameter. So that's where the 2 pi r times the height comes in, because the base is the 2 pi r. All right, you don't have to memorize that part. I just wanted you to see where it comes from. You just need to be able to apply this formula, okay? So here's the 3 examples. I got a length, a width, and a height, okay? So I've got, that one's the 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH. So my surface area here is 2 times LW, so 2 times 13 times 22, plus 2 times LH, so L, 13 and 14, plus 2 times, and then the last one is WH, so there's W and H, 22 and 14. Just be careful to type it all in. If you have a scientific calculator, no need for parentheses. It will still do order of operations, multiply first, add second. If you have a basic calculator, you might want to do all the multiplications first and then add those 3 answers together. All right, if I type the whole thing in, I get 1,552 inches squared, okay? Normally, because it's surface area and it's flat top on top of it, not filling it, it's 2-dimensional, okay? All right, now for the triangular one. Remember, we have the front and the back. We have the 2 triangles that are identical. So here's the base and the height of the triangle, and there are 2 of them, right? So 2 8 and 15s divided by 2. So this is the triangle, and there's 2. All right, then we have the bottom. The bottom is down here, right? Sometimes it helps to outline it to see the length and the width. Oh, there it is, 15 and 10. Okay, and then the next one you have on the right side. So the right side goes around here. So this way 10, this way 17. I can see it there, 10 and 17. Okay, and then you have the one on the left. So trace it until you see them. 8, and this way would be the same as this one. So 8 and 10. Okay, you can punch the whole thing in to your calculator if you have a scientific one. If not, you're going to have to do all these multiplication parts separate and then add last. But if you put it all in together, you get 520 inches squared. And the last one. This one is the 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. So surface area 2. Please use 3.14 for pi. A lot of people are getting things marked wrong on those Google Forms because you're using the pi button. Use 3.14. That's the answers will be using 3.14 on there. 3.14 times r is 12 squared plus, I'm going to have to go underneath here, 2 times 3.14 times r is 12 times h is 8. Again, type the whole thing in. 1507.2 These are millimeters squared. Okay?